Hi, pals. Okay, I'm here with a little tip for you on sight words. I've talked a lot about how sight words are not perhaps what you think of as sight words. Um, if you go onto a website called Really Great Reading, they have a wonderful explanation of um, what sight words really are. Sight words are any word that you can recall automatically. So we think of sight words perhaps as words that you have to memorize. Memorization is actually wildly ineffective when trying to teach students high frequency words. So if you have a kid that's just trying to learn it by looking at it a bunch of times, or if you have a word wall in your classroom or at your home that you just hope that a kid by seeing it over and over and over will finally help it click, I have a better way for you to learn those words that we automatically know can recall right away. And any word that you can recall right away is actually a sight word, and it's stored in our orthographic lexicon. So go to reallyGreatReading.com. There's a whole wonderful explanation of what sight words really are. But if you have a high frequency word that has an irregular spelling, there's an approach I want to show you. So this is called their heart word magic spelling. So this is free on the reallyGreatReading.com, I believe is the website. Let me just double check here. ReallyGreatReading.com. And if you go into the heart word magic, that's what you'll find. So I want to kind of go over with you what you do. So if you have a word that uses an irregular spelling pattern, like the word said or from, I want to show you the approach, and you can use this. I downloaded this and just threw this into this page protector, plastic sheet protector thing. You can get these for $3 from Dollar Store. So you don't have to laminate it. A little skinny. If you can get the really extra fine tip ones are always great. So let's do the word from. I want to show you the word from. Let's figure out the sounds that are in the word from. Put it on our fingers first. Mm. All right, let's do the sounds here. We go mm. So you fill in a dot for each sound in the high frequency word. The theory behind this kind of approach is that there's no word that you would say beyond maybe grade 1 that you have absolutely no idea what any of the letters say. Once kids have an understanding of letter names and sounds, they're going to know that is F. So the first sound, how would we spell the sound? You ask your child that. How do we spell the sound in from? That says F. Good. How do we spell the sound What does the sound what spelling do we use for R. And then we'll go to the next one that they most likely know, which is how do we spell the sound Good. So, and then you instruct your child. This is the tricky part. In the word from, it says but in this word, we spell it with an O. So in this word, from is spelled with an O, which is the sound So this is the part that we have to remember by heart. And you want to stop using the language of memorize. We want to map the sound with the letter O to our brain. We want to map the sound O to our brain. So what I would also do after that maybe is grab a whiteboard. I don't have one here, of course. Just one moment. I'm going to pause and show you what to go even further what you can do. Okay, so if you have a whiteboard, and these are little tiles that I made. I had actually a parent make out of Fimo that you can get at Michael's. But if you just cut these out with construction paper, cardstock paper, that's fine too. Just as a tip, use red for vowels, okay? So I have a dish here of these tiles. It's a fun craft you could do with your child. Do green, yellow, red, blue. Red should always be used for the vowel sound. So let's do this again. Let's write a line for every sound in the word from. How many sounds in the word from? Okay. Well, let's see. Let's do tiles. Is the vowel sound in from because every syllable has to have a vowel sound. Good. All right. So I've got the word from. Okay. Get them to touch it. Excellent. What's the first sound in the word? How do we spell? So we just did this, but let's do it this way. The first sound in the word from is f. The next sound is and the last sound in the word from is okay? I'm not showing it to you this way just because I might drop it. Okay, very good. It didn't slide. So now this is the tricky pattern. In the word from, it says What letter makes And they may know that short U says But in this case, in the word from, we spell it with an O. And I have to put a heart over the O because that's the one little tricky part that I have to remember by heart. So let's touch our tiles. From. 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 O says in the word from. O says in the word from. And you could even take your tile and slide it back over. From. You can switch back between saying the sounds and the letters. Typically with words that we are using a phonics pattern with, we are just saying the sounds. But in this case, you can cover it and say, what was the sound? What was the spelling for in the word from? From. Am I right? Yes. And then as a last step, you can erase it and right away go back to it and say, okay, how do we spell from? From. And do that a couple times. And what you're doing is orthographically mapping that pattern to your child's brain. So as a little recap, you can download this and print it, Heart Word Magic Spelling. This is just like a little buy-in. If you don't want to do that, do it this way with a whiteboard and your line. So you ask the student the word. So for this week, my words are of, said, could, would, should, my, change. I'll show you another little trick. I'm going to share my screen. So they have a really great website here, and they are, this is the reallyGreatReading.com Heartword Magic site. If you, they're slowly building words to add to their library. This is free right now, but it'll give you a video. So I have 3 words on my Heartword list this week at my school. Could, should, and would are all of them. But if you do this, it actually does a really wonderful video to practice the word. How amazing is this? So look.
Let's examine the word could, as in he could only stay at the party for a few minutes.
So it'll walk you through the routine. I'm just going to scroll along here so you can see. It'll do the same thing we just did. It's really, really cool. They don't have a very big library yet of word, but it'll give you the practice you need for doing heart words this way, rather than trying to drill practice and memorization. The tip with this is that if you're trying to get your student to memorize, you can do this for French words as well. Please know that this transfers over to French word lists, French sight words. And I say sight words just because sight words aren't just this list of words that you just have to memorize. There's a part of a high frequency word that you might have to map to your brain and know by heart, but you never should have to memorize the entire word. It's a lot less overwhelming for kids if you explain it that way. So if you use this strategy, then they should only have to do it maybe 3 or 4 times. If you have a dyslexic or neurodiverse learner, it may be more, but the pathway to reading is the same neurologically. So for a dyslexic or neurodiverse kid, maybe a few more times. If you're asking a kid to memorize, they might need 500 exposures before they memorize the word. And memorization is not reading. Okay, memorization is not reading. It's having a snapshot of a picture of a word, mapping letters to sounds, and orthographically memorizing those patterns, mapping those patterns to your brain is what real reading looks like. So that's just my tip of the day. This is a great way to do it. And just a few at a time. but this should map to their brain after a few. And here's the other exciting part. Sorry to nerd out on you. Once a word is orthographically mapped and stored in that lexicon of your brain, it's always there, unless there was a traumatic brain injury or something really significant happened to the brain. That word is in there and you can recall it. If you get to the point where you couldn't not read the word from, try and not read this right now. You gotta do it. So that's my little tip for how to practice high frequency words. And really, I beg of you, stop having your child memorize. It's not an effective way and it's not true reading. Thank you.